You're listening to America First with Sebastian Gorka, former strategist to President Donald J. Trump.
I don't think, Shad can tell me if I'm right, but I don't think I've ever handed over the opening of an hour to somebody who isn't called Sebastian Gorka. But today, I'm doing exactly that because I trust this man implicitly. If I had to be in a trench with bayonets affixed, I hope he'd be in the foxhole with me. He is, of course, my colleague, my buddy, senior columnist at townhall.com, author extraordinaire, commentator with a flamethrower. That's metaphorical, Media Matters. He is Colonel K. Kurt Schlichter, you have 2 sentences from your upcoming Town Hall article, and I'm going to let you start the hour simply by reading those sentences to our millions of listeners.
Thank you, Dr. Gorka. Brace yourself, America. Here's a fun fact. Tucker Carlson, who a bunch of senior military officers tossed 240 years of nonpartisanship out the window in order to chide for pointing out their myriad failures, has won just as many wars as our generals have during the last 20. He has lost fewer.
Wow, that's going to sting. That's going to leave a mark on our general officer flag, officer corps. But it's not. Sadly, I wish it were just the GOs that I'd experienced after my 7 years teaching joint military professional education. But it's not. It goes lower than the politicized officer corps. It goes to Master Gunnery Sergeant Scott Stalker, Senior NCO for Space Force. Let's just play the viral video from somebody who should be wearing a pink pussycat hat. Play video.
Drama TV. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I call it. I'll apologize up front and tell you that I don't have cable news at home. I don't have it here in the office, and I don't watch a lot of drama TV. I understand some comments were made yesterday, and I watched the clip that Mr. Carlson produced as he referred to pregnant women in the military. I'll remind everyone that his opinion, which he has a right to, is based off of actually 0 days of service in the armed forces.
Well, that's interesting, Kurt. In that case, if you're not a cop, you don't get to comment on police violence. Isn't that? Talk to us about the 240 years of military tradition that was just jettisoned in the last 48 hours.
Well, you know, Dr. Gorka, there's so much to unpack here. Let's start with that part. Let's start with the big picture. The big picture is there's a military tradition that we don't get ourselves involved in partisan politics. We don't get ourselves, when we're on active duty, especially in uniform, especially on a verified social media account, thereby representing the military. We don't go and attack journalists and argue with them. And believe me, there are a lot of journalists when I was in for my 27 years. I don't know, because I only had 27 years. I don't know if I rate for the Master Gunnery Sergeant or not. But in any case, you don't get involved in politics. It has served us well for nearly 2.5 centuries, and they had to throw it all out the window because Tucker Carlson, he had to be the exception. You know, we've seen this with all our institutions, Dr. Gorka. We've seen, Trump's so bad, we've got to blow all these norms and customs out of the way, and we just can't be troubled with them anymore. And now, of course, it's Tucker Carlson is why we're throwing these out. But it's not only the tradition, which is important. It's actual regulations, both on political activity in uniform, representing the military. That is highly verboten, and that's one of the reasons the military vets who saw this basically went insane over the weekend. A reaction that this guy who used to be in charge of Cyber Command, or senior NCO at Cyber Command, did not anticipate, demonstrating he is not tactically proficient in the world of social media and does not understand the battle space in which he decided to stumble. It is also unlawful to target American citizens for information operations. Targeting means attempting to have an effect. If you target with fires, you blow them up. If you target with information, overseas we'd call it propaganda, you are attempting to do something. Here he was attempting to cause primarily conservatives, traditional Americans to separate from Tucker Carlson because Tucker Carlson was saying unapproved things about America's military readiness. And he played the old Mote and Bailey thing, defending to the death women in the military who, of course, Tucker Carlson did not attack in any way, shape, or form. So it was, I mean, there, like I said, a lot to unpack, all of it bad. And this is a symptom of a military that has truly lost its way.
Yeah, we're talking to Kurt Schlichter, Colonel K. Only 27 years in the U.S. military, rising to the rank of colonel. Follow him right now at Kurt Schlichter. Check out his latest tome, the fifth in the Kelly Turnbull series, aptly named Crisis. Kurt, there's a bigger problem here. I mean, these guys should be up on charges. They
should be relieved of command immediately.
They should be relieved of command. I mean, you're absolutely right. Having an effect when you're talking about information commands as well, when you're talking about 2MEF with its information command also targeting Tucker Carlson, you're talking about military action in the information space on a DOD Twitter account used against a civilian. But here's the bigger issue for me, Kurt. One of the essentials of not just American military history, but Westphalian, Western civilization's military history is this small thing called civilian control over the military.
Absolutely.
What is a guy in a uniform doing discussing politics on a verified DOD Twitter account?
Oh, that's what stunned all of us vets. I don't think civilians or and folks who aren't associated with the military really understand what a big deal this is. I mean, a lot of people were stunned. A lot of veterans were stunned, understanding that they would have been booted out, non-judicial punishment, maybe even court-martial, for doing the same thing. But now it's okay because he supports the regime. Now, what do you think the reaction would be if, say, Command Sergeant Major, another E9, got on using his in uniform, using his verified account, and said, I agree with Tucker Carlson. He's bringing up some really good points. Would he have been treated the same way? Of course not. This guy is basically hacking for the regime and tossing out all this amazing history that the United States military has had of nonpartisanship. And what it has done is done what all the other institutions have done, Doug. All our institutions have betrayed Americans in the sense that they are not there. She had a news media that lies about us and doesn't protect us when we're being wronged by their friends. We have an FBI that tried to frame General Flynn. We have, look at the NFL. Look at what the NFL did. Every institution has turned against us. So this guy, and here's the thing, he shouldn't be doing information operations against Americans, but at least he should do them competently. He did not understand the battle space. He actually expected to get a completely different reaction. He thought, well, I've seen the polls that say the military is very respected. I will go in and I will use my military authority to convince these people to not like Tucker Carlson anymore. And he absolutely did not understand the people he's attempting to influence.
But why? Here's the bigger question. You're a graduate of the War College. I spent 5.5 years teaching at National Defense University, another 2.5 years teaching the Marines at Quantico. This doesn't happen. This transgression doesn't happen unless there is a permissive environment.
Yes.
This isn't a one-off outlier. Suddenly he decides to do something. This is because these individuals have been told for years and years and years in their JPME, in their professional military education environment, that this is okay and that what you are expected to spout is the politically correct verbiage. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. There were general officers, 4 stars, doing this stuff. There were public information officer accounts doing this stuff, and not just and aggressively, using foul language, insulting people, insulting civilians. I mean, this is absolutely mind-boggling. There will be no consequence for it, except this guy will be rewarded, and you will get more of it. And they will find that the American people will also lose faith in our military. As I spent a lot of time on social media fighting this yesterday, which is why I'm spending all day on media talking about it today. You're going to find folks like me reluctant to recommend that young Americans join our military right now while it's in this condition. This is heartbreaking to me. The military changed my life. It made me who I am. It is an institution I love. Every day when I go to the gym or go run, because I still try and maintain some sort of shape, even if my facial hair is not within AR 670-1 standards today, it could be in a half hour. My clothes.
Oh, we lost him there. I'm sure he knows that it is no longer necessary for you to actually meet the health requirements. He is Kurt Schlichter. He is standing up to the requirements he had to meet when he was serving in the U.S. military. We will continue the discussion with Colonel K. Follow him right now at Kurt Schlichter, SCHLICHTER. It's the Kelly Turnbull series of books. Latest, number 5, is entitled Crisis, and I can't wait for his next article to drop at townhall.com. Back with Colonel K after these messages. Sadly, we're living under a Biden-Harris administration. What does it mean for your finances? More debt, more regulation, more money printing, less growth, and higher taxes. The importance of owning physical gold and silver has never been greater. Call the veteran-owned Midas Gold Group today to get their guide to owning bullion and coins. Call 480-360-3000 or go to MidasGoldGroup.com.
America First.
Can you believe it? They are saying that they don't agree with America First. How do you say that?
Magnificent.
You just don't say it. Not for 3 hours on this show with me, Sebastian Gorka, former strategist and deputy assistant to President Trump on the Salem Radio Network. Cancel culture, it's real. What are you doing about it? What can you do about it? I'll tell you right now something you can do. So incredibly simple. Mike Lindell, a great American, a great patriot, a truth teller. They are trying to destroy this good man, the creator of the incredible MyPillow. 25, count them, 25 U.S. corporations boycotting his incredible products because they politically don't like Mike. Well, guess what? You need to send them a message. Cut out the fascist cancel culture middlemen and go straight to his website, mypillow.com. Order whatever you want because you're a friend of mine. Mike's going to give you more than 60% off. If you've already got a MyPillow, get another one. Get one of his new sheepskin slippers with the memory foam, the fabulous latest product. Call 800-829-8468. More than 100 US-made products. Support Mike today. Send the fascistic left a message. That's 800-829-8468, mypillow.com. But you've got to use my name for those massive, massive discounts. That's Gorka. We are back with Colonel K, Kurt Schlichter. Follow him at Kurt Schlichter. He is the author of the Kelly Turnbull series of books. And what is it, the 21 Lies?
About Donald Trump and you. Yes, it's still out there.
Check it out. The 21 Lies about Donald Trump and you. We are sticking this hour, last hour, next hour, the whole week to this question of the woke military. It started right at the top. Here is the testimony of the retired general who is now the Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, and what he thinks about his fellow American. Play cuts.
The job of the Department of Defense is to keep America safe from our enemies. But we can't do that if some of those enemies lie within our own ranks.
Kurt, this is, I never thought, as a person who chose this country, who chose to be an American, who was a DOD civilian on faculty at National Defense University before I ended up in the White House, the idea that a Secretary of Defense would call members of his own military that he will be commanding for Joe Biden enemies. Kurt, as far as the Marines I know, the soldiers I know, the airmen I know, you do one thing to enemies. You blow them up or shoot them. And he's talking about the people under his command.
Yeah, that's kind of mind-boggling. This hunting the extremist boogeyman is absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, I spent 27 years in. I don't recall meeting a lot of these mystery monsters of terror lurking in uniform. What I meant were a lot of great people who wanted to do a great job for their country. And
so white supremacy and nationalism wasn't a problem you detected in your 27 years?
Nationalism certainly was. These were pro-American people who loved their country. They were patriots. White supremacy? it's so incomprehensible for guys like us who actually were in, that somebody would walk in and go, you know what I hate? People of other races. And you just look at them and go, are you insane or drunk? Let me take your temperature. Let's get this guy to a sick call. There's some, I mean, it just doesn't happen. When somebody shows up at your unit, you don't go, I wonder where his grandfather came from. No, is he squared away? Or she? And this whole idea that somehow women in the military need to be defended, as if their track record is as if their track record requires a defense. I just it's so insulting when you put people in boxes. Treat everybody like a soldier, and you'll be fine.
But isn't this
realistic?
Isn't this part of a bigger phenomenon? This isn't just about the military. This isn't just the woke supremacy that is being exercised by leaders in the U.S. military. This is, to quote Jim Hansen, this is an attempt to criminalize conservatives, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Right.
No, it absolutely is. The military was seen as the last center-right organization. They think they're going to change it. What they're going to do is change the leadership and drive conservatives underground. I hear from them all the time, traditional Americans who are patriotic and don't believe in all this social justice nonsense. The nice thing about the danger of the military is soldiers do what commanders check. Right? And if commanders check to make sure you're woke, well, you're going to have a woke organization. You're going to have it fairly quickly. The military is an aircraft carrier, but you'd be surprised at how fast an aircraft carrier can turn.
So how does this end? Because Biden's not going to stop it. Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense, is actually in favor of it. Is there anything we can do until the next election, Kurt?
Not much. Keep the faith. Do your job. The next president needs to not be intimidated by generals. I think one of my criticisms of Donald Trump is he respected generals way too much, and he was ill-served by a number of them who showed themselves petty, disloyal, and frankly not competent. And none of this makes me happy to say. But you've got to go in and you've got to treat these guys like Siegfried and Roy treated their tigers, with a whip and a chair, and a pistol, to keep them under control. And you need to set the standard from the top. Don't submit to him. Be like Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill had questions for these guys. Now, he did have some military service.
Yes.
You can always surround yourself with guys who've had some military service and know where the bodies are buried, and who can say, sir, he's running a game on you. He's not telling you how many guys we have in Syria. He's lying to you. And just today, a report came out in the New York Times, which God knows if it's true or not, but apparently there are 1,000 more American soldiers in Afghanistan than the president, our past and our present one, were told. This is inexcusable. Any president should get on his firing shoes and start firing, because this is intolerable. Yet our military thinks it can do it, or our military leadership, and that's who we're talking about here: senior leaders. When you put a few out to pasture, General, I've lost my confidence. You have lost my confidence in your ability to lead. You are relieved. I am directing that by Friday you be retired. Get out.
And at the same time,
duffel bag drag.
At the same time, we're talking to Kurt Schlichter. The whole joint political military education system has to be revamped and reformed.
Completely. Oh, the military education system is a disaster. When you have the Army War College and other war colleges that are teaching that America's most significant threat is the weather in 100 years.
Yeah.
That is not a serious military. China has a serious military. Its military is to deter and defeat. That is what a military should do. Ours, what is ours? What is our mission? Because if it's to deter and defeat, that ain't working.
I just wonder what Beijing, Moscow, Tehran are thinking after the last 3 days. I'm not sure that they are impressed that this is a war-fighting attitude from our military. Virtue signaling from senior enlisted and general officers doesn't impress the People's Liberation Army or a former KGB colonel running the Russian Federation or the murderous mullahs in Iran. Find out more. Follow this this man at Kurt Schlichter on Twitter. Read his articles. Can't wait for the new one to drop with regards to the Tucker Carlson maelstrom at townhall.com. God bless you, Kurt. Keep doing what you do. I'm Sebastian Gorka. This is America First on the Salem Radio Network.